when Johnny Depp walked onto Stephen Colbert's late-night stage. Most expected a light-hearted chat sprinkled with humor and charm. What they got instead was a segment that quickly spiraled into one of the most talked-about moments in television. Depp, fresh off a new film release and continuing to rebuild his public image, appeared calm at first, but there was tension simmering beneath the surface, especially as Colbert's questions began to feel more pointed than playful. It didn't take long before the tone of the conversation turned from comedic banter to sharp interrogation, and Depp's body language gave away his growing discomfort. Things took a turn when Colbert brought up the actor's controversial past. At first, Johnny tried to laugh it off, brushing aside the comments with a signature smirk, but Colbert pressed further, referencing Depp's court battles and his strained relationships in Hollywood. "You know, Johnny," Colbert said with a forced grin, "a lot of people still have questions about who you really are." The air became heavy. Johnny paused, leaned forward, and responded, "Maybe they should look in the mirror before throwing stones." The crowd gasped, unsure whether to clap or remain silent. The tension was undeniable, and it was just the beginning. Trying to recover the interview, Colbert made a pivot toward Depp's new film, but Johnny, still seething, didn't let it go. "You invited me here to talk about my work, not to relive tabloid garbage," he snapped. Colbert, known for his quick wit, tried to defuse the situation with a joke, but Depp cut him off again. "You're not a judge or a jury, Stephen, you're a talk show host." The audience went dead quiet. Depp's voice, normally softer and deliberate, was sharp and filled with restrained anger. It was clear now that this wasn't just an awkward moment, it was a full-blown clash. Colbert raised his hands slightly in defense. "I think the audience deserves honesty," he said, but Johnny wasn't buying it. "They deserve honesty, yes, but not ambushes dressed as interviews." The actor's demeanor had changed completely. Gone was the cool, collected star. In his place stood a man tired of defending himself, frustrated by the media cycle, and unwilling to let another public moment be twisted against him. The crowd murmured, unsure of how to interpret what was unfolding. Was this Johnny being unhinged or just finally speaking his mind after years of silence? As the segment continued, Depp began to challenge the very nature of entertainment media. "Every time someone tries to rise again," he said, "people like you remind them of the fall." Colbert, though caught off guard, responded, "I think people are allowed to ask questions." But Johnny shook his head. "As long as they're fair." Tonight, they weren't. A producer off-camera signaled a break, but Depp waved them off. "No need to cut to commercial," he said. "Let people see this." All of it. It was one of the rawest moments ever seen on Colbert's show, and viewers at home couldn't believe what they were witnessing. By this point, the audience was no longer watching an interview. They were watching a public unmasking of Johnny, of Colbert, and of the fragile balance that late-night shows often try to maintain between humor and controversy. Depp then brought up the double standards in Hollywood. "Some people can destroy lives and get applause. I defend myself, and I'm a villain." Colbert, trying to steer things back, muttered, "That's a matter of perspective." Johnny didn't even look at him. "No, that's a matter of convenience," he replied. His voice was cold now, his patience completely gone. Finally, Depp stood up. The audience gasped. "I didn't come here for this," he said. "You wanted a headline, Stephen. Well, here it is." Colbert tried to salvage the moment with humor. "Careful, Johnny storming off makes a better headline." Depp turned back, looked at him directly, and said, "Then I guess your show just got what it wanted." With that, he removed his mic and walked off stage. The audience didn't know whether to clap or remain silent. The camera panned to Colbert, whose usual grin had faded into visible discomfort. This wasn't just viral TV. This was a career-defining momenta for both men. Backstage, reports say Johnny was visibly shaken but firm in his stance. He spoke briefly to staff before leaving the building entirely. No security escort, no drama, just quiet departure. Stephen, meanwhile, had to finish the show alone, addressing the elephant in the room with awkward humor. But fans weren't laughing. Social media lit up with clips and reactions. The words Johnny Depp, Colbert clash, and walk-off trended globally within the hour. Some viewers condemned Colbert for pushing too hard. Others blamed Johnny for not handling the pressure. Either way, The moment had captured everyone's attention. The next morning, major news outlets were all over the story. Editorials debated the ethics of late-night television. Was Colbert right to press hard questions? Or had he crossed the line? Was Johnny too sensitive? Or had he finally had enough of being dragged through public mud? Everyone had an opinion. Even celebrities weighed in, with some defending Depp for speaking up and others standing by Colbert's right to ask tough questions. No matter the side, the interview was being dissected in 1,000 directions. It had become the latest battleground in Hollywood's ongoing war over redemption, accountability, and image. Colbert issued a brief statement later that day. He said he regretted the segment didn't go as planned and respected Johnny's right to respond the way he did. It was diplomatic, but many felt it lacked a real apology. Depp, on the other hand, remained quiet for 2 days before releasing a message via his rep. Mr. Depp will not be defined by one moment. He stands by everything he said. That single line was enough to ignite further debate. Fans flooded comment sections with support, while critics continued to question his ability to handle public scrutiny. Despite the drama, Depp's new film saw a spike in interest. Advance ticket sales jumped, and his name once again dominated headlines, not because of scandal, but because he had sparked real conversation. The PR world called it the mixed blessing, controversial, but undeniably effective. In some circles, Depp was being hailed as a truth-teller. In others, he was seen as combative. Regardless, he had once again taken control of his narrative, even if only for a moment. And Colbert's show saw a ratings bump too, though it came with more scrutiny than celebration. Producers at CBS held meetings the following week to discuss future guest interactions. The incident was a wake-up call. Late-night shows, once purely comedic and entertainment-driven, now walked the fine line with serious topics. Booking controversial guests like Depp meant navigating personal trauma, public perception, and unpredictable live TV moments. The lesson? Be prepared for anything, because celebrities today are no longer willing to play by the old rules. They want their say, and they'll take the risk even if it means walking out. For Stephen Colbert, it meant reevaluating how to handle guests who come in with heavy baggage. Meanwhile, fan pages exploded with theories. Some believed the entire confrontation was staged for publicity. Others were convinced it was the most authentic thing on TV in years. Analysts broke down every facial expression, every line exchanged between Colbert and Depp. Body language experts appeared on morning shows. Even psychology podcasts discussed the fallout. The moment had become more than a celebrity meltdown. It was a cultural lightning rod, forcing people to confront what we expect from celebrities and how far media should go to get a story. All from a 10-minute segment gone wrong. In the weeks that followed, Depp stayed largely under the radar, choosing to let the moment speak for itself. But the incident had cemented his reputation as a man unwilling to be silenced, even if it meant burning bridges on live television. Colbert continued hosting, but something had shifted. The usual smooth rhythm of the show now carried a layer of caution, as if everyone in the room knew that what happened with Depp could happen again. The line between journalism and entertainment had been tested and it left a mark. Ultimately, the Depp-Colbert clash will be remembered not just for the explosion of drama, but for what it revealed, the deep scars celebrities carry, the risks they take in speaking out, and the raw unpredictability of live television. Johnny Depp reminded the world that while actors may perform on screen, in real life, they feel, react, and push back. And for better or worse, when that happens on air, no one can look away. Whether it was a meltdown or a moment of clarity depends on who you ask. But either way, it was unforgettable.